Part 4 of my needle felting series. 1, 2, tree. So let's get on and put some trees in. For this you really need tops roving in a brown mix. Pull off a length and sort of smooth it out. You want it to fairly straight, and I hold it quite tight between my fingers while I start needle felting it down, but I only do the first inch or so. It depends on how tall you want your tree, but we just needle felt down what will become the trunk. Usually spread it out a little bit at the bottom because the tree will be thicker as it comes out of the ground. We can always add a bit if we need to, and at this point you can decide whether the tree is going to go straight up, whether it's going to lean to one side or the other. Now you can separate out the strand, and this will start to make your branches as you go along. So again, pull it tight. Sometimes I twist it a little to make it a bit thinner, but you want the branches to get thinner as they go further up the tree. And there's the second one. So, and you can separate these branches out again if you wish to. And there we are. We've just got a few branches there, and yeah, just a few. As I said, you can add a bit. I think I'm going to add a bit now. Yes, here we go, to make it a little bit thicker where you want it, or add another branch, whatever you want. But do remember to make sure that it looks as if it's growing from the branch or the trunk that you're adding it to, and not just sort of like sticking out willy-nilly. So there we go, and that's just your basic shape. It's only a small tree. It's fairly light because it's in the background. Things get a bit sharper and darker as they get closer towards you, so bear that in mind. And now I'm going to use my little trick with some mixed purpley colours, and it's just where I've mixed up purple colours, and what I like to do is I like to cut them into tiny little pieces. It just makes it a lot easier, and then I'll add probably another couple of colours to it, that bit that I'm going to use, just to make it a bit more interesting. And also you don't have to worry too much about the light and shade, because the multicoloured wool that you've mixed up does it for you. So there we go, just looking for another colour now. Looks like I found one there. Yes, that's a lovely purpley colour going in there now, almost a maroony purple, but it's going to make it a lot more interesting. And you can put lighter colours in as well, lighter colours, darker colours, mix up whatever you like really. Just remember that this tree is quite far back, and so therefore wouldn't be very, very dark in colour. So looks like I'm looking for something else. What have I got? Oh yes, it's a sort of a pinky lavender. You can of course put like pink into purple if you want to get another brighter, bit lighter colour, but I'm quite happy with these now. There we are. And we just start needle felting very, very fine wispy bits. You can always add more, but you want to get sort of like getting into the shape of the tree. So look at where the branches are, and don't just put the foliage along the branches, you know, because you've got to imagine that there's other smaller branches there that are poking out in different directions, and that also have leaves on, foliage or whatever on it. So you need to shape it, and not just doing sort of like lines along the branches. You start off by putting it along the branches, but also leave some gaps, hopefully, because you want to be able to see the background poking through the tree, and you also want to be able to see perhaps some bits of trunk or whatever. So I'm just making a rough shape of the tree. Very, very small pieces I'm adding here, very, very fine. wispy bits just to make the shape of the tree. And then you can always add some darker bits and more if you want to make it a bit darker or a bit more dense. That's entirely up to you. But and you can pull it out a little bit as well to make it a bit finer and a bit more I can't think of the word, more sort of wispy, yeah, more wispy and ethereal. So yeah, go ahead and make the bits there, making the shape of your tree, adjust it as you like. I'm not too keen on that blob down there on the right, so I will adjust it in a moment and make it, there we go, we spread it out a little bit, that looks much better now. So there, I don't know whether I'm going to put a little bit right on the top. I might or I might not. No, I'm not going to at this point. But what I am going to do is to add a piece of the brown just in there like that, just the one piece across there, so that you've got a branch showing at the front of the tree. And there you go. I think it looks like a really nice tree. I think that's great. And now we're going to make a slightly closer and therefore bigger tree. So I've taken a larger piece of wool to make a bigger trunk, and same thing, needle felting it down part of the way, making it a little bit wider at the bottom, and then separating it out to make branches. Now this one is actually right on the edge of the picture, remembering we've got that extra centimetre all the way around. Now I do like to have foliage and trees coming in from the edge of the picture. I don't like everything slap bang in the middle. I do like things to come in from the side. Imagine if you're taking a photograph and you're standing near a tree, you're going to get part of that tree while you're taking the photograph of everything else. So I like to add that to my pictures sometimes. So here we go. And sometimes I separate them out again, sometimes I cut them off and then I will add a bit further down in a different place. But that one I'm going to separate out. There we go, and we're going to lean that over that way. That's quite a fine branch there, and this one will go up and lean over a little bit because I do want it to poke into the picture. There we go. Oh, got a bit tangled up there. Never mind, with a little bit of work and your fingers and your needle you can sort it out if you get a bit tangled. Doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does. So just tidy it up with your needle. And if you go out, walk out in the country and have a look at some trees, there's some very, very odd shaped trees around. With very, very weird growth patterns. So trees are not all like they are in kids' colouring books, where all the leaves are, all the branches are level and straight, and the leaves are all nice and tidy. It's not really like that in nature. Very few trees grow that way, actually. So yeah, you want some more slightly unusual ones if you can. Well, just making that look a little bit different. Sometimes the branches come from really low down the trunk, and sometimes you get a lot of trunk and then branches and foliage at the top. So you need to decide what you're going to do with your tree, how you want it to look, and just do that. So there we go. Now when we put the mount on, you can move the mount about a little bit. You've got a bit of spare either side, so you can move it about so that you get the amount of the right part of the picture showing. Bear that in mind when you're doing this sort of picture. You can always move it. Yeah. So just adding in a bit more here. I like it to be quite dense. I've decided at this point not to put any foliage on, but we may do later if I decide to. As to what sort of foliage, I don't know yet. As I said earlier, we make it up as we go along. Well, I do anyway. So there we go. So we've got this sort of weird twisted shaped tree here, growing very close to the ground and right next to the lake, which is great because that means that will give us the opportunity later on to do the reflection in the lake, because it's got the sun behind it, and yeah, we're going to have a sort of a shadowy reflection onto the lake water, which will be great because that'll be another lesson. So here we go, we're just getting him finished off now, tidied up there. Yep, quite happy with that. Oh, we're going to put another bit in. Yep, and another bit. Yep, just coming from that center there and actually coming out further into the picture. So yeah, a little bit of a twist, and that makes it a bit stronger, a bit firmer, easier to needle felt down, and you don't get the fluffy edges so much. There we go, with a twist, a bit more coming into the picture from the side there. Great. And now we put the thing on, and you can see, you can't actually see very much of that tree, but you can shift the mount over a little,